so I have us at 6:02 now, so we'll get started with the November 2nd Gotham Economic Development Council. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and we'll start off with attendance. I'm going to start off with Chris.
Chris Barrett, alternate.
Gayla Breck, Planning Board Representative and Recording Secretary.
Joanne Duffy, I don't even know what I am anymore. Economic, what am I? Planning Director and Economic Development. Planning and Economic Development Director. It's been a long day.
We'll believe you.
Sure.
I'm not sure. It's too long. Sorry.
Melanie Renfrew Hebert, member.
Charlie Birchmeyer, member.
Jim Craig, Select Board Representative.
And John Napoli, Vice Chair, Acting Chair tonight. So we'll get rolling. So we'll start off. Everybody have a chance to review the October minutes. Does anybody have any questions or corrections to make to the minutes from October?
I had one question. Only the vote to make me a full member, they had me down as being a voting member. Should that be that way?
You can
I
vote
for myself?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then, I just wanted to make it. Hey, I didn't want it.
We appreciate your integrity.
I didn't want it to bounce back.
Anything else? All right, can we get a motion to approve the minutes from October?
Sure.
Charlie motion,
Second.
Dick with a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
All right.
abstaining. I wasn't here for the meeting.
Okay, thanks, Melanie.
Welcome.
Or do we need to, we don't need to go all through because we're all here, right?
Correct.
We just did,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so Melanie will abstain, so thank you. Minutes are approved. We will go in and we'll start off with old business, agenda item number 1, meeting scheduled with representatives of St. Anselm College. Joanne, looks like we're determining a date to connect with them.
Yes, we're waiting to hear back from them with a date. As soon as they provide me with a few dates, Jim, I'll be in touch. They said it would probably be sometime in the first week of December.
And then just to refresh, Joanne, just high level of what the meeting, what we're going in, or specific agenda items that we're bringing to the meeting with St. Anselm.
We don't have specific items, but we wanted to introduce ourselves and see where the possibilities could go in working with St. A's, since we haven't really had much contact with them for several years now. And they're, a big part of this town, and I think we could do some things together that would only, advance the town in certain directions.
Okay. So hopefully a date first week of December, and we may or may not have more information by the time that we meet next for the EDC.
Right.
Okay. Anybody with any questions for Joanne about the meeting with St. A's? All right. So we'll move on. This might be a very short agenda or a very short item here. The Bridge Committee, they have not met.
Dick had asked about that because he was appointed as the EDC's representative. So I did check with Derek, and he said they haven't even met yet. That's why I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
I don't know. He didn't give me any indication as to when they were meeting. I don't think that he knew.
Who is there a chair, or do you know a contact person? Is there a chair of that committee that?
Andrew Cataract.
I don't. Is he the
I believe
chair?
so.
Or was he the chair of the old committee?
Yeah.
Because I would think they'd have to elect a chair once they.
I don't
Me?
know, but I thought I remember hearing that at a select board. Do you remember that?
I think they have to re-elect him, but I think
Do
they'll probably re-elect him.
Yeah.
There was talk about it anyway.
Okay. I could reach out to him
I
and
think
find out some more information.
I think so. Just so
Okay.
so Dick can stay plugged in and kind of keep it on his planning.
Okay. can do that.
Hey, Sarah.
Hello.
All right. And then the last item for old business, Joanne. I have training dates for survey assistants with Scott on November 10th.
Yes, so I reached out to a few people to see if they would be interested in visiting, because we've had such a low return on the survey questions. I think it was like really low, like 20 something. So met with Scott recently, and we talked about, how else can we get some response, because he can't really provide us with a direction unless he has a better return. So we talked about visiting the businesses in Pinardville, literally going in there and meeting with them. Now that takes some planning and some training, and also, it's a time commitment. So, so I approached people who, are either retired or are, don't have a job for one reason or another, or,
Nothing else
or,
to do.
you're right, so, people who have some time. So,
I'm including that.
Dick agreed to participate, Jim agreed to participate, and I called Bonnie, who was on this board previously, who wanted to help out, and she's also agreed.
Great.
So, he is going to he did set up a date of November 10th, this is Scott, down at the UNH Cooperative. It's not here, Jim, it's at their office down by the county offices. And he's going to do like a 1-hour training in how to go about approaching the business owners and provide, the questions. I felt that some of those questions were too lengthy on that survey, and they may not want to answer all of them, and that's fine. But if we could get the more important ones answered, that would be very helpful. So we're signed up to go down to this training on the 10th. And from there, we will split the list up and figure out who's going where. I'd also like to include some other businesses in town that are like, not brand new, but, just opened up within the last year or so, because I think it's important to get feedback on how new businesses are doing, especially in this economy, and whether, they're having any issues with anything that we might be able to assist with.
Okay. And so you have a list of those ones that you have in mind? For
Yes,
the new
yeah.
businesses?
So hopefully we'll get this going before the holidays.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so we can, so you plan on having maybe an update when we meet in December?
Yes, yeah.
Great. Any other thoughts or questions from folks on the survey and the training for the survey assistants with Scott?
I just had a question about the survey. Is it is it a digital thing, or is it like an actual interview questions?
The survey went out as a digital survey.
Okay.
And we emailed it to the business owners, but as you know, I'm sure everyone here knows that people get all kinds of junk mail during the day.
Yeah.
And they may not have, even looked at it. So now we feel like, okay, that didn't really work. Now we have to.
Have we sent like a reminder email, or?
He
additional
did,
follow-ups?
yeah, he followed up with lots of people, and, you have to go to them. I mean, these
Yeah.
business owners are really busy, and probably busier than before, because they don't have as many employees as they once did. So you really have to take the time and go out to them and try to just get like 10 minutes of their time.
I think it would be good to, as you guys meet and discuss, and maybe pare down some of those questions, a little bit more, make it more digestible for the businesses to, take 10 minutes. As I know there's quite a few questions on that initial survey.
Yeah,
And I think it's easier for somebody, if you're face-to-face with them and you can kind of basically guide them through it, but also you're doing face-to-face work, and it seems like it makes it more viable, that we're real, there's some people out there doing something.
Yeah.
and then he said once we've completed that, and hopefully he'll have enough data, then we'll set up the roundtable discussions.
Melanie?
Joanne, I think I would like to go for the training. I
Okay,
am not certain I will be able to go out to businesses. But I
sure.
think I'd like to hear people's thoughts on the survey questions. Scott and I were talking about some of them when he was here the second time, I think.
I will send you the email so you
Thank
have
you.
the information. Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks to everybody for participating. I think this will be really helpful to keep some positive momentum with those efforts on the survey. Anything else on the survey before we move on? Okay, let's go into new business. First one here, and we've talked about this a little bit over several meetings, preparing a step-by-step guide. Joanne has provided a number of pieces of material here. So Joanne, do you want to walk us through?
Sure. I don't think Sarah got a copy of their
Yeah, there's
extras.
some here, these extras.
Yeah, we,
I think you need this one.
That one too, Darrell, that's.
So some of this information is already on our website, and when I was looking it over this week, I checked the links and I noticed that several of them don't work any longer, so IT was going to work on that and make sure it's actually working. But this is under the planning department's page of the website, and it's just relocating your business to Goffstown and what you need to do, because depending on if you're going into an existing building and it's a similar type use, then you have to do a lot less. If your business is much more active than whatever had been there previously, then you probably need a site plan. So we really can't, it's not like a cut and dry answer. We really have to know more about their plans and what they're providing to make a determination as to what they need to do and what they need to provide to the town. Some people need a variance, some people may need a special exception. There's a lot of rules concerning the fire department. So each one is different, but this just tries to give you a flow chart of, okay, this is kind of like what you'll come up against. And most of the answers to their questions are provided to them in the first and second steps, because that's when they meet with staff and they have their, it's just a conceptual at that point usually is what they present to us, but you know, we can kind of give them a pretty good idea of what they'll need. So if it's an existing site, like say for instance, a pizza place across the street, that's a good example. That was a pizza place about, what, a year and a half ago. It changed hands, and it's still a pizza place. He made changes to the interior, so what he needed to do was he needed to meet with the TRC. We gave him direction. Then he needed to go get permits for, he was changing some of the interior of the site itself. So he had to get some building permits, electrical, plumbing. He added, I believe he added a new pizza oven, so that's electrical. And then he also met with the fire department to make sure there weren't any issues. Like sometimes that people take the exit signs with them. They have to have lit exit signs above the doorways, or fire extinguishers or things like that. So they provide the helpful information so that people know what they're doing. And so it eventually, in the end, sometimes it takes a while, but eventually in the end, then they have everything signed off on and they're open for business.
With these, so do we have a sense that new businesses are accessing this material or finding use in some of this material?
I think the only thing I could get, and I haven't done that yet, but I could ask the IT department possibly how many hits, but I don't think they could tell me like who's actually looking at it.
Joanne, can you tell us more about how they actually go about doing this? Is any of this electronic other than email? Is there any sort of, I'll admit that I haven't looked at this. We're not building or owning anything. But how do they go, if I'm a new person coming into town and I want to do this, how is this done? Is it coming into the office all the time?
Most people either call and we can email them information. The applications and the fees and all of that are on the website, so we could send that to them. Some people walk in. It depends on if they're, nearby or if they're coming from out of state. But eventually they do come in and we meet with them at the TRC level, which stands for Technical Review Committee. Sometimes we'll just get phone calls that people are looking for a certain, is there a vacant buildings around or that kind of thing, or I'm looking for 45 acres of land or something. And we check to see what's out there.
And is that information available anywhere online that they could check for beforehand?
No, the only place they could find that is if they Googled, real estate, Goffstown or something, and then a few sites pop up, usually Zillow or one of those.
There's a commercial website, I don't remember what it is, that you can look at land and it does, like, you put in Goffstown and it'll show you all the available. And it actually kind of almost looks like a Goffstown-ish sort of website. And
Bonnie used to have access for us, because I also noticed on the website, there's a link to information about, how many houses sold and all of that, but it's from 1920, yes, it's from 2020, and it's so outdated. But we were able to capture that information from something Bonnie was able to get into. So I could always ask her if she could send it over again if she has the information now.
A realtor site of some kind?
Yeah, it's a realtor
commercial
site
realtor
that
site.
you have to be a member to get into.
Yeah, right. And are these flow charts on, in the website?
This flow chart is on the planning department page. These were on there, but I don't see them any longer. I think this one might be there, I just can't find it. So what it would be really nice to do is to have like a separate section under economic development and have everything right there, businesses or something, bring attention to it, and then have links to all of everything in one place versus having to search all over. So I'm not sure when they're planning to redo the town website. I know they're hiring a company to do that. And I can speak with Derek and find out if we could, at that time, if we could, get this a little bit more organized.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we need to, and then I think we also, like, to your point that about how much information is outdated, do we have a routine cadence where somebody's reviewing the content on the town site, or let alone our EDC site?
No, I don't have access to the town site, but from what I understand, when we switch over to this, it's called Civic Plus, each department will be able to go in there and update their information.
So we would be able to update our EDC page?
that's great.
That'll be helpful.
Yeah,
When is this all supposed to happen?
I'm not sure, they mentioned it, and I don't know, I don't really know the time frame or timeline for it. I'll check with Derek.
I think it's important, though, to know when that's going to happen, so we don't make major changes now.
Right.
Just to have to go back and do it again after on a new site.
Yeah. So this is what we have now. So it's more, this is more planning related, these two. This one could be helpful to a new business. But there are others out there from other towns that, really have everything that you would possibly need. And it's like, it's set up really nicely, and it's clear, and it's easy to read, and it's easy to find.
Jim, would you be able to, maybe for next meeting, do you think that you'd be able to screen capture some of those, or bring us in some examples from some of the other towns? And
Sure.
we can take a look to see if, what we might want to replicate here when we're able to with the new website. I think it'll also be, beneficial to hear information. So as new businesses are applying to come in, if we at that time, as you're meeting with them, giving them the flyer, giving information and encouraging them, so as they're going through the process and getting their business up, an explicit invitation, please come to our EDC meeting
Okay.
and talk to us about your experience, and we can get real-time feedback from a company that is, or a business that has just come in, gone through all the process, can easily recall pain points and information that they wish that they had, and we can help use that or leverage that information for items that we want to.
I could contact, maybe for, excuse me, maybe for our next meeting, the owner of the new car wash. I mean, he just opened.
Absolutely, exactly.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Okay,
I think an explicit, so we do a lot of open invitations, but if we're doing maybe some more, pull and reaching out explicitly to some of these businesses, we have this meeting, we'd love for you to come in to this meeting, or, January, whatever it is, that we want to hear about your experience, and we could take some of that information. I'm just thinking of different avenues. We're getting some information from surveys, and then maybe, couple this in, so if we can layer some of these avenues in, I think it'll give us some more robust information to try to play around with.
okay.
Yeah, it'd be helpful, for sure.
I'm trying to think of another new business, like,
How about, well, it's not that new, but Mountain Base Brewery in Penoble's
oh, that's
fairly new.
another good one,
And I know
yeah.
that they're struggling, so,
Okay.
meaning like, you know what I mean, they're
Yeah,
having
they're,
issues.
they're really working hard because they keep trying to have different events and,
Yep, cribbage night.
yeah.
They
So,
had Charlie's Food on Fridays.
do they?
Yeah, they had
Really?
they had the, I won't say the name, vegan truck there over the weekend.
Oh.
So that's good, those are all
Yeah,
great things.
yeah.
Yeah, and then during the pumpkin regatta, they had some kind of tasting,
Yeah,
and that was,
mhm.
I couldn't believe how many people were in the park.
Where was that?
How did I miss that?
I had my kids with me.
Wasn't it in the parking lot here?
I'm not sure.
I
I saw
think
in the parking lot there, they had a huge
Oh, you know what that
tent.
was? That was a beer festival of some sort.
Oh, and
Yeah.
that's something that
Yeah.
they were joined in
Yeah.
with, because I was trying to get someone to set up, like a small business in town to set up in front of Charlie's, because it's good access on the
Yeah.
corner, and I was kind of got into a little too late. But it's okay, there's next year. Now I have like a few people that expressed interest, because I really want to make sure that I'm promoting that, and I have a little space that's prime action. But yeah, no, they are really trying hard, and I think that would be great for them, especially just even in, like, interest. People are interested and want
Yeah.
to see them succeed. Sometimes we all need a little encouragement.
Right.
Sure.
There's also the new bakery and lollipops right on.
Yes, they're right next door.
Yep.
So I think that'd be great if we can, maybe cast a little bit of a net and see if there's, a business or two that can come over the next couple of meetings, and we can get some,
Yeah.
pretty recent information from them and their perspective, and I think that would be valuable for us to have.
Okay.
Do we have like a flyer or like an invitation or something? Remember I had mentioned that, like, it'd be nice to be able to hand out invitations, well, please come to the Economic Development Committee and share your story,
We don't, but we could put something on the Facebook page. I don't know how many people will.
Is it something
Read it,
like
but-
if you create a piece like that, does it have to get like come in here, get it approved? And I'm asking because I do this stuff all the time.
Not for the Facebook page, and not for like if you're doing a flyer or if you're just sending out information
Okay.
to people. You don't have to
Okay.
get permission to do that.
That sounds good.
So since we're talking about the social media, and I know we talked about it over the
like
past couple of
trouble.
years of having a dedicated EDC, so our posts, we can start working on some branding of the committee and get out some of our specific information. And Chet had talked a little bit, I think, going through, there was some approval process, or we needed to get, something vetted either through the select board, or I can't remember exactly, to give us kind of the go-ahead, we can start our own page. I don't know if you have any other more information of what are the
I
hurdles
just
that we
know
need
that-
to go over.
The fire department has their own page. The library has their own page, but these are departments, not committees. I don't know of any committee that has their own page. But I don't really know of any committee that would be reaching out to
Yeah.
people or to
So
businesses.
it's different.
So it's a little,
How, what? How do you suggest, or do you have any ideas of, or Jim, maybe you know of, how do we identify what the red tape would be for us to start an EDC Facebook page? What would be our next steps to
so
clear that?
I would probably suggest that we speak with Derek and then the IT department. Actually, I'm not sure if IT, I think it is IT because they manage the Facebook pages.
Well, I mean, there's some things to think about. If we do it, other committees gonna wanna do it, this and that, how do we manage it and all that, so,
Now that you said it, I already want to do it.
so,
I think it's worth having the discussion,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's definitely.
I think this committee is unique in that, because we do have that, or attempt to have that contact with the businesses and things like that, so I think it would be more helpful. It's not like the planning board or the zoning board or even the budget committee that's gonna, I can't imagine what we would need to put on a website.
That's true.
Joanne, is that a conversation that you'd be able to start or facilitate with
Sure.
Derek and IT?
I can
And
find
I'm
out
certainly
from
happy
him.
to be involved in that too. But at least we can just, get the conversation going and figure out if we can do it or can't, or things that we need to do to make sure that it's, aligned and compliant with everything that we need.
So I think his first question would probably be, why does the EDC need their own Facebook page versus posting on the town's Facebook page?
That's a good question. Why could the EDC not post on the town's page and reach out to
Because that's what we do
businesses?
now.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you're going towards this upgrade of the town site, and that's probably, we're kind of a subset of planning and development, right? So that I can see it as being, in this process somewhere, the organizational chart would say, okay, we have this economic development committee that will guide or help or encourage businesses to come in, whatever we would like to.
So I think you're referring to the town website.
The,
So
website,
the
yes.
website, we do have our own page. We just
Okay.
can't update it.
Oh, you can't update it. Okay.
I mean, it can be updated, we just can't do it ourselves, we have to go through the IT department. Now, that will change once they switch over to this other company. But I think we're talking about the Facebook page is what you were referring to, that there should be like, instead of, if you're looking through Facebook,
Yeah.
you would like, I think that's what you would do, like the economic development page.
Follow it.
You would follow it, and then, whenever we post something, it would pop up.
Yeah.
Versus the town page popping up. Because then people realize, oh, it's this, it's still a subcommittee of the town, but it's,
And then you would have the contact within the EDC on that page, as opposed
Yeah.
to just a general town contact. Or,
exactly.
link it directly to the EDC landing page and not, again, just the Goffstown page.
Yeah.
So you would definitely want a specific EDC Facebook page to do any sort of
Yeah,
outreach.
and then you'd also have the ability to do some surveys out there too.
Right.
Because you can do a survey online, so
That's
if you had a
exactly-
question,
Yeah.
you wanted to know what's the biggest obstacle your business faces in December,
Yeah,
Well, even the surveys that are being sent out, you could send them out directly from the business page, to local business pages. So you're messaging between the EDC on Facebook directly to, and send a message. This is a survey we're sending directly to Goffstown business owners. We'd like you to fill it out if you have the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of goes along with, I think, what we've been thinking of having something that's recognized as the business social media, or the economic development social media page that sticks out more. And, there's a lot of things that are posted on the Goffstown page, and if we get more of that business-centric presence, that, maybe that opens up you know, more lines of communication directly
Right.
to the businesses who we want to reach.
And if you want to go further, rather than just sticking with Facebook, you could also branch out to like Instagram or something.
Twitter.
Twitter, I don't know about Twitter.
LinkedIn, though.
It's dangerous.
LinkedIn would be a good one.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if we can, if Joanne, if you don't mind helping facilitate, you know, some of those conversations, and you know, we can have, you know, if we're allowed to have, I don't know if we're allowed to have an offline conversation. Is that against any of our rules as the right to know?
As long as, if I send out an email to the group, as long as you just respond to me. I mean,
Okay.
everybody could be copied, but you just respond to me, and there's no back and forth conversation. It has to go through me.
So I guess my question is, if we had to have a conversation, you know, outside of the meeting here, just to, you know, having a real-time conversation with Derek or IT, can that occur?
Yes, as long as there's not a quorum of the board,
Okay,
so that's not a problem at
Okay.
all. You could form a little subcommittee.
okay. All right. Okay, so to recap this section, we've discussed inviting a few businesses, a few new businesses in Goffstown explicitly to join us at an upcoming meeting and talk about their experience, getting some of their feedback in retrospect of some of the items that might have been helpful and some things that we can try to focus on developing through this committee. And then Joanne will help facilitate a conversation with Derek and IT about potentials for an EDC specific social media page.
The other thing we could use help with is, there's currently a link of businesses. Well, it's not there, but there's a link for it, for businesses. So say, you know, accountants, I don't know, vets, you know, just different types of businesses.
You mean with
Categories.
of businesses?
And then, you know, the names of some businesses that we know from that other list that we have. And it used to be there when I first started, and it was so outdated, I had it taken down. And I haven't had time to actually put something else up there. But Kathy Ball told me that lots of people come into her office and said, you know, oh, you know, because they're new in town, they go to the town clerk, do you have a recommendation for a landscaper or whatever? And we can't give out, you know, oh, here, try Joe Smith. But if we had a listing of a few of them, then we could at least say, you know, take a look at this. And we could even print it or just, you know, send them over to the website. So that seems to be something people are looking for. It's not so much, it's helping the businesses in one way because you're sort of semi-advertising for them. So in that regard, I think it would be good for the businesses. It's not necessarily helping, you know, a lot, but I think eventually, like, it would be used.
I think there's gonna be maintenance and upkeep
Well,
required
that's
for
the
it.
problem.
Yeah.
And that's what happened the last time. And so we were, you know, obviously no one here was updating anything, and so that's why it became very, very outdated. And, you know, maybe if we don't have, maybe if we rotate some names or something and don't have such a large list at once, it would be easier to keep track of. Not put like every single one down, but just have a variety for each category.
Right. And definitely have something on the page saying updated as of,
Yeah.
yeah, so that people don't get upset when we don't have everything new.
Right.
And then you can add new people as you get new businesses
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
So you could maybe put a call out and then have, you know, an annual call out and
Right.
anybody who wants to be included for the next 2 years, and then after 2 years they expire if they don't. That way, you know, businesses
Right.
that are-
Even if they emailed and just said, you know, all the information is the same, you
Yep.
know, no changes or something, that would help greatly. Because some of the businesses, you know, especially the small ones that maybe don't have a storefront, like, I have no idea if they're still there or not. You know, half of them I haven't even heard of.
Right.
We validated some of that through the work a couple months ago with the
Yeah,
Colorado Civic
that's why I
businesses.
thought we could use that list to start.
Maybe, I mean, that's another item that we could blast out on social media. Maybe that's something that does go on the town, Goffstown page of looking for a landscaper. Here's
Yeah.
all the list of
Yeah.
the businesses in Goffstown. You know, and how many times you see on Facebook people soliciting, does anybody know a
Right,
good
right.
plumber? Does anybody have
Yeah.
And so as we, we
Right.
see some of those, we can start, maybe have a rotation where
Yeah.
we're highlighting like in general. Like for a great place to eat, Goffstown has, and so maybe we can
Yeah.
rotate, and that'll be another good avenue to use social media for.
And then you could share those across the other, kind of private Goffstown groups like that, like there's like, the Goffstown Moms group and like all those personalized groups. And just share
Goffstown
that
Matters
post.
and things like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Maybe we could separate out the ones that are in Pinardville, give them a little focus.
Yeah, I think that's great. Okay. Any other comments on kind of, I don't even know what to call this, but kind of our what does EDC have to offer / what do businesses need to know to open up in Goffstown / social media?
Chet wanted to talk about what the utility companies have in mind for any expansions. And, you can certainly invite the chair or whoever from the committee would like to come and meet. We could set up appointments for, it's basically just water, sewer, to come in and I guess it would also be natural gas, but they're like from Concord. To come in and meet and just, give you a rough idea of what's going on. But from my own experience, I will say that they typically don't do any sort of expansions of the systems on their own. It's only if a developer comes in and pays for it, It's not like
Well, I think one of
they're
the-
doing replacements right now, lots of replacements on sewer lines, but not really new.
Yeah, I think that discussion came up with, Mass Road and having when we talked about gas.
Yeah.
Coming down Mass Road. And that would be interesting discussion to have as to what a utility would be looking for as far as usership. I know very little about that, but I think it would be interesting to know as a background for us all to understand, all right, if you gain more businesses or that I have to, and then maybe we can be the ones to say, okay, look at, we've got all of these companies or businesses that are looking for that kind of service, let's get them to the table and with that utility.
We did that a few years ago with, I don't know if you were here then, what was his name? Was it Bill? We had someone here on the board that worked for Liberty Utility.
Oh,
Was it Bill?
yeah,
Can't think of his
remember.
name.
I don't remember his name either.
And we went up to Concord and we met with them because there was a user, a potential user, who owned property on Mast Road who wanted to move their business to Goffstown, but they could only do it if they had natural gas running to their site. And the closest was this was on Mast Road, and the closest was down by the Irving station, didn't go any further. So, or at the county jail, I'm not sure if it goes up to Irving. And so they did a study, we gave them the information of all the properties along there, and they did a study and they came back and they said it wouldn't be productive for them financially because there weren't enough users that would join on. Now this was, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years ago. Kind of lose track with COVID. I feel like that was like lost time, but yet it was 2 years ago. So this was probably three and a half years ago. So since then, there have been some new developments there. The 55 and older, the gas station, the car wash, there's a potential for 30 units, residential units.
Behind the high school, and that's.
No, it's right on Mast Road,
Okay.
near Langley's property,
Oh, okay.
in that
Yeah.
vicinity. But not much else.
Well, we talked about this because of the Villa property
Yes.
too, because wasn't that a question that the owners of that property,
Yeah.
they're a company out of Hudson, I understand, right?
Yes.
I don't even know what they do, make widgets or whatever, but.
I forget now, they make something.
Right, but that was a.
But whatever it is, they use up a lot of gas to do it, so they needed.
Was that in the equation when you talked to
Yeah.
that? It was.
So, you know, how much longer will it take before that area is developed enough for natural gas to be worthwhile?
I was gonna say, I was excited to see that they were out there repairing the columns and things that had been knocked down.
Yeah, they seem to
In
take
the
pretty
front?
good care of the building.
They do. A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
security too.
Sometimes you go by there at night,
No.
every single light is on.
I know.
It's like, what's going on in there?
I
But yes, I have not heard from them in quite a while now, but I mean, the answer hasn't changed. And then they wanted the town to participate in the costs, so.
So what would our role be with this information? So for future utility expansion plans, what would our role of this committee be? Just disseminating that information to potential new businesses, or?
Well, I think if you had discussions about potentially expanding these utilities, then you could at least try to make something work. If some large business were to come in and it was, very beneficial for the town, then you can try to see if, you can make it work somehow. But I've never seen this town, I've seen other towns do this, but I've never seen this town where they'll go take out a bond for a potential expansion of utilities in order to entice businesses to come in.
Right.
I've lived here 38 years, and I've never seen that happen. So this town is not, in my opinion, it doesn't seem to be as proactive in bringing in lots of businesses.
And I think Chet has made this point previously about the desire to have, the coordination between the different bodies and having planning board representatives here, and to be able to, I think, have a forum where some of that information is shared and discussed to really, drive some of those and make a business case for it. And maybe that just, the cross communication from the different committees and folks maybe just needs to be heightened.
So I think this committee needs to decide, what their focus will be. Will it be trying to, work with the existing business community, making sure that they are financially, successful, and that the town has enough here to keep them here? I think some of the questions on that survey that Scott did, there were a few that said, there was a question about, where will you be in 5 years or something? And there were a few people who said they may move because there's not enough room for them to expand. They had different reasons. And so those are the people you want to go speak with and see okay, well, how can I help you with this? Maybe we could find another site for you in town, or because you don't want to lose people you already have. And you go through some towns and you see a lot of vacant storefronts and things, and it really looks awful. But we have been so lucky, even through the past few years, we really don't have that to speak of. I mean, there are some vacant parcels here, mostly in the strip mall, but we really are very lucky in that regard. So that would be one focus, or the other would be to go after new businesses. And I don't know if we have enough to offer new businesses because we don't have very much commercial land here. We don't have the utilities, so, you know, certain businesses, I'm sure, would, like as an example, the land over by 114 and Shirley Hill Road, that was sitting there for years and years. It was up for sale forever. And all of a sudden, that company that did the what do you call it? I can't think of the word.
The panels?
Panels. Solar panels came in. Like, you know, that was just sort of like, wow, these people are actually interested in using this land. They didn't purchase it, they're leasing it, but it's a long-term lease. And for now, it's a good use, it's quiet, there's no traffic coming from it. And it's, you know, it's being used for something. So there's other parcels that have sat, there's one right across the street from that the college owns on the corner, directly across the street, across the highway. And that's been sitting there for 30 or more years, vacant. And, you know, it's like, does the college have any plans? I mean, that would be really good things to ask them too, is
Yeah.
what are you doing with your real estate? Because they own so much land. They really do, and I'm sure they're holding on to it, but, you know, you don't know if in the back of their minds they may have some ideas of what they may want to do.
I heard somebody say once that, and I don't know if it came from the college or it was just an impression, but they envisioned all of St. Anselm's Drive being owned by the college, and you know, like they have that big arch over the driveway to get in.
Yeah.
That would be like at the lights on 114 and Shirley and St. A's Drive.
I've never heard that. They do own
I don't
quite a
remember
few
where it
of
came
the
from.
houses near the
Yeah, they do.
school
Yeah.
that they lease to
They
the
buy it.
students. But, yeah, they don't.
I think it would be a good, yeah, that's a great question to, you know, if we're gonna be having conversations with them,
Yeah.
it'd be nice for us to know, this committee to know, you know, future plans and, you know, maybe see a potential for us advocating or, you know, what we can do to help support. So in the interest of time, anything else on this item for our new business that we wanna discuss further? So I know before jumping into items for the next meeting agenda, I know Joanne usually provide some new business updates and happenings. Anything this go around?
For the next agenda?
No, Joanne. So any new business updates?
Oh, new business.
Or new businesses.
No, I mean, there have been lots of applications on the planning agenda. The only thing that's somewhat moving along is the Hawks Trailer application, which is right next to the, or 2 lots away from the car wash.
Okay.
But other than that, it's mostly residential things, small projects.
All right.
A question on that, Joanne. You said Hawks Trailer is 2 lots over from the car wash, right?
2 lots.
So there's also the middle lot. Who owns
That's-
that, or is that owned? Is there something? Because I see trailers,
Yeah.
tractor trailers on that property. and
That's owned by someone else
is there-
who has not come in with any sort of
Okay.
plan or anything.
Okay. Can they do what they're doing right now based on? Yeah, I mean, I just see a lot of trailer trucks out
Yeah,
there.
I don't really know, because that's
Okay.
not my thing, but I think they have taken the lot and kind of,
Yeah, well, unofficially, they should have some sort of a
Right.
plan, right, if they're gonna use that.
right. They haven't done anything to the site other than
Right.
parking, and the trucks are registered,
Okay,
so you can't really call it like a junkyard or anything like
Okay.
that.
all right, that's where I was going with that.
All right. So on to items to include on next meeting agenda. So first, I guess I'll just run through kind of what we've already teed up. So I think for the group that is meeting with Scott for the training, the survey assistants, if we can have that on the agenda to talk about if we've made any changes to the survey or any other, plan of attack going from there out to businesses to collect more information. I don't know if it was Joanne or Gail, somebody's going to reach out to Andrew,
Cataract.
Andrew Cataract or Derek about the bridge committee and who is the organizer, so we can make sure that Dick remains connected with that group when they do meet. And then inviting some of the new businesses to either next meeting or upcoming meetings to talk about their experience with setting up their business. And the other item that I had was, Joanne, if you facilitating with Derek and or IT about a possible EDC Facebook page.
Okay.
Is there anything else that I'm missing? Is there anything else that anyone wants to add for next meeting? Melanie?
Just in addition to asking about the Facebook page, see if we can't get a better idea of when their IT change is going to
The
be
new
for the
website?
websites.
Yeah. Any other agenda items for folks? Any other new business for discussion?
I kind of had a question, but I don't want to open a
What
can
do
of
you
worms.
have, Sarah?
I didn't get to participate at the Pumpkin Regatta, and I was curious. I did hear great feedback from some of the local businesses that they got tons of business, and I talked to 2 of the woodworking shops in town. They're small businesses, and they were too shy to come in and talk. And they said that they got so many orders that they're kind of flabbergasted. So they were really, it was
great.
really great. And then I was doing a little research this morning about the Main Street program. Now, do they get funded through the Main Street America program? Do you know? Is that
I
where
don't
they
believe
originally got the grant?
Originally they did. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I have some information. So, because they come in front of the budget committee every year. So they originally got funding, some initial funding, and they do get a warrant article every year on the town ballot and ask for assistance. And that was supposed to end after a few years, but continued on. Last year it wasn't funded. This year they've been making significant improvements, it seems, in regrouping with programming and getting more volunteers involved. So we'll see how that goes in March. Yeah, so they have funding, and they should, as far as I knew, be reaching out to all business owners for Pumpkin Regatta.
Oh, that's good. So I was on the Main Street America page this morning, and they have another program called Urban Maine. And that is for urban centers in a town that are trying to redevelop. So it's a similar program, it's a complementary program. And they offer like a starter grant, and they're looking for places that already have an established program to complement it. So you know how we're trying to work on like Penardville. I did place a call to ask them to find out a little information, just because they were talking about big cities, you know what I mean? But I was like, well, if we have an established program, we're not looking for, I mean, I don't know what their original funding was, but, and they don't list what the funding is, but it's geared toward redevelopment of an area that's kind of run down, which would be great, right? So I did place a call to kind of find out a little more information, and it's called Urban Maine, is what they call it. So that's why I was kind of curious, because I know it's difficult to get funding for different things. I was reading we facilitate third-party funding, and I was like, okay, well, where do we get third-party funding? So then I was looking it up online, because this is me, I'm a nerd. I was like, well, where do you get third-party funding? What do they call it? And then they're like, there's all different things you can go after, like community block grants. Because I look at things around town, like the Ice House in Penardville. That's a historic preservation project, and no one's tackling it, and it's going to fall on the ground. And that's really sad, because that's really the last piece of the puzzle in Penardville that's still standing. And then you have a bench up the road that looks like if you sat on it, it would fall on the ground. Like I literally drive by it, and I can't tell you how many times I almost wanted to just stop to see if it was safe. because it's that bad. And then I was like, all right. And then then it becomes more like the other side, like more like Manchester, you know, and I know what it's like. So I'm just trying to figure out how to make that, you know, downtown is amazing, and I want to try to work towards something to make the other side of town amazing, and I'm not sure what that is. So that might be a way to get some funding.
So you've reached out to them?
I
Sarah?
did place a phone call.
Okay.
I left a message on an answering machine. I just explained that, you know, I was just curious because I did read through all the information, and they usually work with, for the urban Maine, they look for places that have like 100,000 people. But I was like, but we're not talking like that kind of grant. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be open for everybody. So if we got the Main Street America program grant in Goffstown, we should be able to get a complimentary grant for the urban development, which that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to, if you hear information back between, you know, if you get some significant information back, do you want to ping Joanna to add, you know, maybe add another agenda item to talk about it for next? I don't want to, you know, put you on the spot if they don't get back to you, but I think it'd be great to bring some.
Well, they actually had like a flyer that you could print out about Urban America and the different information. And I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I just personally didn't have time to read it because I was supposed to be working.
Oh, that.
You know, but I was, between that and printing out taxes forms, my husband, yeah, crazy.
I think,
But
I think it would also be worthwhile to reach out to Main Street
Yeah.
and ask them what their criteria is for working with Pinardville.
well, I know
What's
that
their-
I did a little research on that too because I did talk to them a little bit about it before because not the current person who's in leadership, but the person before that, I had said, hey, you know, I've got a marketing and business management degree and kind of like a stake in Pinardville, and it's not really attractive. I mean, it is what it is. I said, but we want to have this look of a small town feel, and we can't even, how do you, you know, we want a business to come in and think Pinardville's as nice as downtown, and it's really not like that, so we have to come up with some kind of metro feel that people are like, this is great. I mean, we used to have tons of trolleys and all kinds of great things going on. It's really not like that anymore. So it's not like, you know, you can enjoy going into Pinardville and saying, oh, look at that. I mean, the ice house.
Yeah.
You know, that's so sad. Did anybody actually try to work with the Historical Preservation Society in Washington to see if they could get a grant?
I don't know because we have what do they call the historic
The
Historical Commission,
Historical
right, or society,
In
isn't
Goffstown.
historic district commission?
Jen Brown.
Jen Brown is the one, then,
Or
right?
historic, well, there's two, there's Historical Society, and then there's the Historic District Commission.
Because I think
Yeah,
it's,
I didn't,
But the only thing that I've heard in the last 5 years is that, so the people who bought that property, it's the Riley family out of Bedford,
that's
Tom Riley.
Okay.
And they built the building that's there now for the medical facility,
is
and they
really
lease
nice.
it to
Yeah.
them. And a man who, I think he's quite old, and he's been here his whole life, he offered to fix the ice house.
yeah, although it's not much more complicated than that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And he's, if it's the same person, I don't know, I can't remember even who he was, but he offered to fix it, and they wanted him to provide insurance in case he got hurt. And this is like an old guy, and he's like, I'm not doing that. And he walked away from it. I think his family used to own that property.
Yeah, because it used to be a barn.
Yes, and I think this man, his relatives or father or mother or whoever used to own it, and that's why he was interested in helping. But he said, forget it, I'm not providing insurance. So
Yeah, that just
nothing
kind of,
happened to it since then. And the owner, Mr. Riley, his saying on it is basically, oh, if anyone wants to fix it, I'd be glad to have them do that. But he hasn't offered to fix it.
well, because it's going to cave in is really what's happening. It's pretty rotted. I took a little mosey on by a
Is
few
it-
times.
I took some
Is it
pictures of it.
is it protected in any way because of its
I thought
historic?
it was, but I don't
we
know
have to
for
find
sure.
I don't know
I'd have
either.
to, let me look that up, because I thought it
Only
was.
because, like, here we are trying to, like, connect downtown to Pinardville, and we have this little quaint historic piece that, you know, could be like a start on one end. That's, you know what I mean, to kind of like pull it together. Because I mean, I don't remember who I was talking to today. I was talking to someone who lives in Goffstown for my job, and she was saying, "Oh, that's right, Charlie's is in Pinardville." Oh yeah, and you know, on the other side of town. And I was like, and they do say that, and that's like upsetting. Not upsetting to me, but I'm kind of like, I don't like that. You know, it's not like really Manchester over there. And I'm like, no, it is Goffstown, and it just needs some hometown loving or something.
And some enthusiasm from folks like Sarah.
I'm trying. I did post on the Pinardville community
know.
discussion to try to get to see if some people wanted to come to Charlie's to have like a little meeting to find
Yeah.
out like, you know, what could, you know, just talk about
Right.
business in Pinardville because, I mean, and one landscaper commented,
Beaver Landscape.
yeah, which is perfectly fine. I mean, you can start with one person. It doesn't matter. One of the things that I'm going to be doing in Pinardville to help build economic development just kind of outside of this is I'm inviting small businesses to come in when my bakery is closed on Saturday nights, I think, from like 6 to 8 to do like a setup of what they sell. So far I've got 3 authors that will want to come in to bring their books in. That's fine. It's not that I'm promoting them. It's just that they're a small business in Goffstown. So I'm very interested in like the list of businesses because if we get that going on that end of town, I think that would be really helpful. Really
Yeah.
helpful. And King's Bowling Alleys, I don't know what's going on over there, but
Yeah.
still has that lease sign out.
Yeah,
It's
it's-
really
yeah, well-
sad, isn't it? It's sad.
Yeah.
We got to do something to help him. I don't know what that is though.
What is, do you know what is going on with that?
I
Is
know
it
he has
just
to
going
sign
on-
up to lease the building. I went over to talk to him about doing pizza and bowling nights on Friday nights for family, and I'm going to try to do it again. I'm going to go buy bowling passes and post on Charlie's that we're doing pizza and bowling night on Fridays, and you know, maybe as a Christmas gift, like make up some kind of thing that they can buy, and I'll just pay for the bowling because he was like, oh, didn't seem like he was that interested. And he's a big Pinardville activist.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the
Always
thing.
has
If
been.
he's not interested in pushing his business, that's really sad.
Is that something that we could facilitate of just, you
Yeah.
know, again, putting out information that, you know, any, you know, available businesses or space for lease? I mean, I think that could be something that we could facilitate through this group.
That's true.
You should like partner with, do something for Bartlett. You can get the kids at Bartlett interested
I mean,
in
it's
going to the
great.
bowling,
I mean,
maybe.
it's so homey. You know, and it's
It
at that
is.
end of town that we need that homey feel.
Yeah. We've been out there a few times with the Scouts.
Yeah.
It works well for that, but there's 5 lanes? It's small.
Yeah.
I asked him, I called him when we first started the Pinardville project, and I asked him if he wanted to participate. And I felt bad because he said, he goes, I would love to participate, but I'm the only one here.
Yes.
So I don't think he has any employees.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and I think we've talked about this before, you know, we talked about potentially hosting meetings at different sites.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be a good place for us to host a meeting and bring in a little revenue.
And I think that can be something that this group can do as well. with
I
going
see
out
there's
to
a
the
picnic
businesses.
table out there now and another chair, so I don't know what that's about. I'm always driving by looking at my restaurant going, oh, I need to clean that up. I had a pumpkin man out and he needs to go in the trash now. But I look outside and I'm like, ah, to me that's like the last nostalgic. I mean, there used to be Eva's Burgers. I look at all the old pictures, the trolleys. There's so many great things, you know.
Yep.
Even like, I feel like there's no historic value to like some of the different things that were in town. Like we used to have a skiing lodge. That's crazy. You know what I mean? People don't know that.
Yeah.
You know, I
yeah.
see a Goffstown sweatshirt, I want to see a skiing lodge on it. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm just saying, like, to bring that hometown feel to all areas.
So I
Which is
think
sad.
that'd be great if you whatever information that you hear back. I think that would be nice to share, and then whether or not this group is the driver of the next steps or helping to connect to the Main Street group or whatever other group to to get this information usable and moving through. I think that would be
Well,
great.
And I think this is where the UNH study, I mean, we're focused on Bernardville, and this should all play together so people understand. And I saw your post, and then I
Thank
think you
you.
commented on it too.
I did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And withheld a few comments.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
boy.
I mean, that's
Hopefully it wasn't my poor spelling
no,
or.
it's what it should.
I'm always
What
typing
we
on my
should be
phone.
doing.
You're fine, you're great.
No, it's what we should be doing, actually, to let them know, yeah, there is something where we are doing something here. That's
Yeah,
what-
because I think they feel, I guess my feeling is like hopeless and left out. And that's a sad way, like for instance, I'm gonna call in front of Charlie's, sorry, all these thoughts running through my mind at the same time. During Halloween, it was so dark in front of Charlie's and I was really kind of bummed because I was like, oh, I wish I had thought to like really light it up because we had bought candy, you know what I mean? We posted on the website that you could come to get candy. My husband made a bunch of pizza slices in case any kids came in just to give them pizza slices, but we didn't necessarily want to advertise because we'll feed.
Yeah. Want to be generous, but not.
Right, we have to, we try to keep our prices low so that people come in and can afford to eat out because it's expensive.
Yeah.
But, it was dark outside. I went outside and I thought, if I was a mom with kids and I walked by this business, and this is my business, I would not be bringing my kids in there to look to see if they had candy. I need to fix this. So, but that's like a street corner fix. It's not really, it's not, there's no light at that street corner. There is a police officer parked across the street in the shadows over by the lumber yard, right? Looks kind of creepy, sorry. It just does. I almost want to talk to him. But there's people walking up and down the street. It's dark. They're crossing on a road that's busy on that corner, and there's no light. It's not lit up, and that's also where King's is. So then someone said you can call. They gave me someone to call to find out if I paid for the cost of whatever the cost is to have a light on the corner, not the cost of putting it up because they'll put it up, but if I pay for it, they'll put up a light.
You mean like the monthly bill?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna call and find out about that because it needs more light. It's depressing. But I mean, I don't even know where it stops and ends. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's my responsibility and what's not? Where do I end? But I mean, I also want to make sure it's a safe place, and I want people to walk by that corner. I don't want it just for myself, but I mean, I feel bad for the other guy, my neighbor.
I'm excited to hear of, again, going back to your enthusiasm and what you're wanting to do for, the other bit and connecting the other businesses in Pinardville. And I think a lot of that enthusiasm as you continue to meet with other people, I think is going to be pervasive and hopefully get some more energy matching your energy in that area. So, thank you for sharing all that, Sarah.
Yeah, and I know
That's
I
great.
talk a lot. Sorry, guys.
No, I think it's valuable, and I think it's important. Like we've said, we've talked a lot about.
And I'm
that.
also, I am sharing this because as I'm doing things, I don't want to be doing something where I'm talking about being a member of the Economic Development Council and working on this as a business owner in Pinardville, that I don't cross any lines or do anything that is inappropriate, because there's probably rules, and I might not know them. And I'm kind of like a bulldog. Go.
Does anybody else have anything else to discuss tonight?
Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing nothing, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Thank you. Melanie, seconded by Jim. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank
That'll
you.
conclude November's EDC meeting for Goffstown. Thanks, everybody.